My beloved child, there have been seasons when you walked beneath a sky that seemed to hold no light. There were roads so long that you began to think darkness was normal, that weariness had become your permanent companion. You grew accustomed to fighting in silence, accustomed to smiling while your heart carried questions no one could answer. But today, I want you to know that those seasons are not your final dwelling place. They are only hallways leading to a new door. You have remained in the night long enough. Now it is time to step into the light I have been preparing for you. There are moments in a person's life when everything seems to stand between two worlds. The old no longer has the power to hold you back. Yet the new has not fully appeared before your eyes. It is at that crossing point that many souls become confused. They do not know whether to move forward or turn back. They sense that something is changing, yet they cannot name it. My child, if you are in that quiet in-between place, do not be afraid. For many times in Scripture, before I did something great, I led my children through seasons of transition. That is where I taught them to live by faith rather than by sight. I want you to understand that what is taking place within your heart is not accidental. The deep longing you feel does not come from the world. The questions that keep your soul awake are not signs of weakness. They are the call of eternity touching the present. They are my invitation to you. For your soul was created for more than what your eyes can see. It was not born merely to chase temporary goals and then continue feeling empty. It was created to know me, to walk with me, and to reflect my light in the midst of the world. The world often tells you that your worth is found in achievement. It tells you that you must be faster, higher, stronger, and more outstanding. It makes you believe that if you attain just one more thing, you will finally feel satisfied. But when you reach it, the emptiness remains. That is because there is a space within your heart that no success can fill. There is a thirst deeper than every earthly desire. As it is written, my soul thirsts for the living God. What you are searching for is not something. What you are searching for is someone. My beloved child, remember the story of the prophet Elijah. After great victories on Mount Carmel, he still entered a season of exhaustion and loneliness. He fled into the wilderness, sat beneath a broom tree, and thought everything had come to an end. But I did not abandon him in that darkness. I nourished him, restored him, and then led him to Mount Horeb. There was a mighty wind, an earthquake, and fire. But I was not in those things. After all of them came a gentle, quiet whisper, and it was in that whisper that Elijah received new direction for his life. My child, many times you expect me to speak through something great and dramatic. Yet I choose to speak in the stillness of the soul. For only when every noise grows quiet can you truly hear me. Do not think that the wounds you have endured are proof that I have forgotten you. Do not let the times you were rejected cause you to doubt your worth. Some people have left your life. Some promises were not kept. Some places once made you feel unwelcome. But none of those things can change what I have spoken over you. As I said to the prophet Jeremiah, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before anyone ever formed an opinion about you, I had already called you by name. Before the world evaluated you, I had already loved you. What I am doing in this season is not first about changing your outward circumstances. I am touching your identity, because when you know who you are in me, you will no longer need to live to prove yourself to anyone. You will no longer be controlled by approval or by the fear of rejection. You will walk with the peace of one who knows that they belong to me. And from that place of peace, everything else will begin to fall into its proper place. My beloved child, I am not calling you back to empty rituals. I am not calling you to an outward name while your heart remains unchanged. What I seek is a living relationship. I want to draw you out from behind the masks you have worn for far too long, the mask of pretending to be strong, the mask of always having to be fine, the mask of trying to please everyone. I want you to come to me as you truly are. No hiding, no decorating, no defending yourself. For in me there is no condemnation for the child who is finding the way home. Remember the prodigal son in the parable. When he returned, the father did not stand at a distance to condemn him. He ran to him, embraced him, and restored his identity. That is also my heart toward you. I do not wait for you to become perfect before I love you. I love you even in the very process through which I am transforming you. So today, step out of the dark places of insecurity, shame, and old definitions. Step out of the belief that you are only the sum of your past failures. Step out of the invisible prisons built by fear and doubt. For my light is calling your name. As it is written, arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. My beloved child, this is not the time to keep hiding in the shadows of yesterday. This is the season to lift up your head. This is the season to believe that I am still at work. This is the season to step beneath the sunlight of grace, where what was once covered will be healed, where what was once dry will be refreshed, and where your soul will recover the heartbeat I placed within it from the beginning. And as you walk in that light, you will realize that what I desire to give you is not only a better life, but a life transformed from within, a life that is truly alive in my presence. My beloved child, there were times when you went from place to place, searching for peace for your soul. You tried to fill the emptiness with new achievements, new plans, and new goals. You thought that if you reached one more thing, if you understood a little more, if your circumstances became a little more favorable, then your heart would finally be satisfied. But then you realize that there are spaces that cannot be filled by the things of this world. There are thirsts deeper than any water human hands can offer. And that restlessness is not a sign that you have failed. It is a reminder that your soul was created for something greater than what the earth can give. I know there are times when you tell yourself that, given enough time, every wound will eventually heal on its own. But my child, time may soften memories, yet it cannot heal the soul at its deepest roots. Only my presence can reach those hidden places that no one else can see. There are cracks beneath the surface of your smile. There are pains concealed behind ordinary words. There are tears that have never fallen from your eyes, yet continue to flow quietly within your heart. I see them all, and I do not come to condemn those weaknesses. I come to bring light into the places you have tried to hide for far too long. So if there are moments when you still feel lonely in the midst of a crowd, still feel empty in the middle of what appears to be a full life, do not be quick to assume that something is wrong with you. It may simply be the cry of your soul reaching toward its true source of life. As the scriptures declare, "Come, all you who are thirsty, come to the waters." That thirst was not placed within you to torment you. It was placed there to guide you back to where your soul truly belongs. For you were not created merely to exist. You were created to live in the fullness of my presence. My beloved child, there is a return that I am inviting you to make. Not a return to an old land, not a return to the days that have already passed. Rather, it is a return to the true identity I placed within you from the very beginning. For too many years, you have tried to become what others expected you to be. For too many years, you have worn garments that never truly fit your soul. You have worked tirelessly to meet the ever-changing standards of the world until, at times, you have forgotten who you are in my eyes. But today I desire to bring you back to that place of peace, where you no longer need to prove your worth, because your value was established by my love long ago. Remember the story of Moses. When I called him at the burning bush, the first thing he encountered was not the road ahead, but my presence. He continually offered reasons why he was not qualified. He said that he was not eloquent. He said that the people would not believe him. He focused on his limitations. Yet I saw what he could become when he walked with me. My child, many times you do the same. You look at your imperfections, while I look at the potential that my grace can unlock. What changed history through Moses was not that he understood everything. What made him a leader was that he trusted the one who called him. That is what I'm teaching you today. Faith is not seeing the entire map before deciding to move forward. Faith is placing your foot upon the path because you know who is holding your hand. Abraham left his homeland without knowing exactly where he was going. Peter stepped out of the boat while the waves were still raging. Joshua stepped into the Jordan before the waters parted. In every one of those stories, the miracle did not come before obedience. The miracle appeared when people chose to trust me more than they trusted their fears. My beloved child, I know there are things you are being asked to leave behind. Old habits, old ways of thinking, old concerns that once occupied your mind, familiar things that no longer bring life. Letting go can be frightening because you cannot yet see what lies ahead. But remember that no one can enter a new season while insisting on carrying all the baggage of the old one. There are doors that only open when your hands release what has already passed. Just as the people of Israel stood before the promised land, they had to make the decision to cross the Jordan River. No one could take that step for them. No words of encouragement could replace their obedience. They had to choose trust. They had to choose to move forward. And when they did, what seemed impossible became reality. My child, there are spiritual decisions that work in the same way. I can invite you. I can guide you. I can give you strength. But you must respond to my call with surrender and trust. Do not forget the times when you thought you were falling into an abyss. Do not forget the nights when you believed you could not endure one more day. Yet you are still here. You are still standing. Not because you have never been weak, but because I upheld you. Not because you have never fallen, but because I lifted you up again. As it is written, though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. Every time I delivered you in the past is evidence that I will not abandon you in the future. Therefore, what I seek today is not a perfect person. I do not require you to understand every mystery before you take a step forward. I do not ask you to eliminate every doubt before you choose to trust. What I desire is a soft heart, a soul willing to be led by me, a spirit humble enough to say, Father, I cannot see the whole path, but I trust you. It is from that simple surrender that the greatest doors will begin to open. My beloved child, I can sense that a new season is drawing very near in your life. Not because your outward circumstances are changing rapidly, but because something is moving within you. The things that once satisfied you are no longer enough. The things that once held you back are gradually losing their power. These are signs of spiritual maturity. These are signs that your soul is being awakened to enter a deeper walk with me. Therefore, open your heart wide. See through the eyes of faith rather than through what your natural eyes can perceive. Allow me to lead you beyond old limitations and into the land of promise. The day will come when you look back on this journey and realize that the call you hear today was never an accident. It has been my invitation to you for a very long time. And when you answer that invitation, you will discover that what I have prepared is not merely a better future, but a more complete version of the person I created you to be from the beginning. My beloved child, before I place into your hands the very thing for which your heart has prayed for so long, I must first complete a deeper work within your soul. Many people see only the gift and eagerly await the day they receive it. But I always look at the heart of the one who will carry that gift. What I am preparing for you is not a reward for endurance, nor is it compensation for lonely years. It is part of the marvelous plan I wrote for your life before the first stars were set in the heavens. Because the value of what is coming is so great, I cannot allow you to enter into it while your soul still carries wounds that have not yet been healed. There have been days when you wondered why I allowed you to walk through such long seasons of silence. You looked around and saw others moving ahead, building the very things you once desired. But my child, I do not measure life by speed. I measure it by depth. How tall a house stands is far less important than how strong its foundation is. What I am doing within you is not delaying your blessing. I am preparing a foundation strong enough to sustain that blessing. As it is written, there is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under heaven. There are seasons when I call you to sow, seasons when I call you to wait, and seasons when I allow you to reap. Yet no season is ever wasted in my hands. Therefore, do not think that the seasons when you feel alone are signs that I have forgotten you. On the contrary, many times, those are the places where I am closest to you. I often lead those whom I love into quiet spaces so they can hear my voice more clearly than the voice of the world. When Moses was being prepared to lead Israel, he spent many years in the wilderness. When John the Baptist was called to prepare the way for the Messiah, he grew up in the desert places. Even Jesus himself was led by the Spirit into the wilderness before entering his public ministry. Do you see, my child, the wilderness is not a sign of abandonment. More often, it is a sign of preparation. In those hidden places, I do not only teach you about me, I also help you discover yourself. There are wounds you thought were asleep, yet they still quietly influence your thoughts and reactions. There are fears concealed beneath an appearance of strength. There are unhealthy expectations disguised as love. I do not bring these things into the light to condemn you. I bring them into the light so that I may heal them. For my light does not expose in order to shame. My light exposes in order to set free. As I have said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. My beloved child, my desire is not for you to enter a new relationship while still carrying the burdens of old seasons. I do not want you to view the person I send into your life through the lens of past disappointments. I do not want you to react from old wounds whenever you face a new challenge. Some people lose precious gifts not because they lack love, but because they have not yet been healed enough to receive love in a mature way. They cling instead of trusting. They demand instead of listening. They seek security from people rather than from me. And in the end, what was meant to be restored is destroyed by fear itself. That is why I am teaching you a lesson deeper than simply learning how to love another person. I am teaching you how to be fully satisfied in me. When you no longer view another person as the source of your life, then you can truly love them in the right way. When you recognize that I am the one who fills your soul, you will no longer place upon others burdens that only I can carry. Then the connection I give will not become a place where salvation is sought, but a place where two souls journey together toward the Savior. Remember the story of Isaac and Rebekah. When the appointed time arrived, I did not require Isaac to run everywhere searching for his future. As he walked in obedience and trust, I guided Abraham's servant directly to the person I had already prepared. The wells, the meetings, and the long journeys that seemed so ordinary were all part of my divine arrangement. What I want you to learn from that story is not how to search, but how to trust. For what belongs to me does not need your anxiety in order to come to pass. So today, instead of asking me to make the clock move faster, ask me to deepen your faith. Instead of asking me to open the door sooner, ask me to shape you into someone who can walk through that door with wisdom. Do not only pray for your future, pray for the transformation of your heart. For the greatest blessing is not finding the right person, The greatest blessing is becoming the person I created you to be. Perhaps right now you do not understand the reason for every day of waiting, but I see the complete picture that you cannot yet see. I know what is being formed within you. I know what is being prepared within the other person. And I know the exact moment when those two streams will meet. As it is written in Isaiah, I am the Lord, in its time I will bring it to pass swiftly. Not too early, not too late, but at my perfect time. Therefore, rest in my love. Allow me to complete the work I have begun. Let old tears be wiped away, old fears be dismantled, and invisible chains be broken. I am preparing for you not only a beautiful relationship, but also a new season of spiritual maturity. And when that day arrives, you will realize that the most precious thing was not merely who I brought into your life, but how I transformed you into someone capable of stewarding that gift with gentleness, humility, grace, and love flowing from my own heart. My beloved child, there are things you are trying to measure with your natural understanding, but I want you to learn to see through the eyes of faith. Not everything that belongs to heaven can be explained by the familiar standards of earth. Many times people look at differences and conclude that two paths can never meet. Yet I see a greater picture where every piece is placed exactly where it belongs to fulfill my good purpose. What troubles you today may become the very thing I use to reveal my wisdom tomorrow. I have been working in your life long before you realized it. The seasons of loneliness were not neglect. The periods of waiting were not meaningless delays. I have been preparing your heart, refining the rough edges, healing the wounds hidden deep within, and teaching you how to love with maturity rather than with temporary emotions. There are things that would have become burdens if I had given them to you too soon. But when my time arrives, what once seemed heavy will become light because you have been transformed enough to carry it. Therefore, do not allow the thoughts of the world to overshadow what I am engraving upon your spirit. People often judge everything by appearances, by distance, by circumstances, or by standards of their own making. But I have declared, man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. When I look upon two lives, I do not merely see the present, I see the destination. I do not only see who they are now, I see who they will become as they walk with me. Remember the story of Ruth and Boaz. Not many people would have imagined that a widowed foreign woman would become part of the lineage leading to the Messiah. By human standards, Ruth had little about which to boast, yet I saw her faithfulness. I led her to the fields of Boaz not by chance, but by divine design. Every handful of grain she gathered seemed ordinary, yet it was part of a far greater plan. From that encounter, I wrote a new chapter in the history of redemption. Do you see? What I ordain often begins with very simple things, yet ends in ways far beyond human imagination. Therefore, if I am bringing someone closer to your life, do not allow fear to shut the door that I am opening. I know you have been disappointed before. I know there were times when you hoped and were hurt. But the one who is healing your heart is also the one guiding your future. I do not build lasting things upon the foundation of haste. Everything I do is covered with wisdom and love. Perhaps you are concerned about what others may think. You wonder how they will judge, what they will say, and how they will view your situation. But my child, if you allow the voice of the crowd to lead you, you will no longer be quiet enough to hear my whisper. Since ancient time, the works I perform have rarely matched human expectations. When I called David from among his brothers, no one imagined that the young shepherd would become a king. When the prophet Samuel stood before the tall, strong, and impressive brothers, I reminded him that I do not choose as man chooses. That truth remains the same today. My beloved child, There are doors that only open when you release the need to understand everything beforehand. Faith is not knowing everything before taking a step. Faith is stepping forward because you know the one who is leading you. Abraham left his homeland without seeing the entire journey ahead. He simply knew that I was calling him, and that obedience opened the way for great promises to be fulfilled. I am inviting you into that same kind of trust, not a blind trust, but a trust founded upon my faithful character. What I am preparing for you is not merely a connection between two people. I am weaving a story filled with purpose. Some encounters last only for a moment, but others are born to serve a destiny. I am not bringing that person into your life simply to fill an emotional void. I am bringing them to help you build something greater than yourselves. Two lamps placed side by side do not diminish one another's light. Together they push back the darkness even farther. Therefore, instead of preparing explanations for the world, prepare a grateful heart. Instead of trying to prove what I am doing, live in such a way that the fruit of peace speaks for itself. Jesus said, "You will know them by their fruits." When what comes from me takes root in your life, it will produce deep peace, maturity, kindness, and unity. Those who sincerely seek the truth will recognize it. I want you to understand something more. The season ahead is not a season of exhausting searching, but a season of restful receiving. You have prayed long enough. You have learned much. You have walked through many of the lessons that were necessary. Now I am teaching you how to open your hands instead of keeping them closed in fear. There are blessings that cannot be received through control. They can only be received through surrender. Keep your heart soft before me. Do not allow the past to write your future. Do not let old failures predict what I am about to do. I am the God of new things. I am the one who makes the desert bloom and creates a path where none seems to exist. What I have begun, I will complete. What I have promised, I will faithfully fulfill. And when you look back on this journey, you will realize that every day of waiting, every tear, and every prayer was never wasted. They were all preparing you for the gift I had ordained long ago. Therefore, my beloved child, do not move forward with doubt, but with gratitude. Do not focus on what your natural eyes can see, but on the one who is holding your hand. I am leading you through a new door, not so that you may lose your peace, but so that you may discover the fullness I have prepared for you. Rest in my love. For the one who authored this story is also the one who will preserve it until the very end.